Hello there, this is Ronda Wood. I am the CFO of Anytown University. We want to welcome all the administrative staff, faculty to our meeting. We have a lot of things to share, both good and bad, but we do want to just kind of give everybody the confidence as we go forward and just really use transparency to share with what we are confronting and how we are coming up with solutions. Okay, well, let's get started. To begin, I do want to say thank you to Dr. Swanson, also to the Board of Trustees for allowing my department, the financial department, to come up with this presentation and just be able to share with everyone with what we are doing. What our objectives are today are we're going to be sharing just an introduction of what we're going to be, challenged with. We're also going to talk about how is the educational system of higher education funded, just to let everybody understand that process. We're going to identify the problem that we are experiencing, how to overcome those typical obstacles that we have, and just kind of share the steps that we're going to go on to implement, and also just our transparency as we go through each step. Just in a general information, most universities have multiple streams of income. The majority of them highly rely on state funding. State funding has been a really large portion of where they get their income. In recent years, that has changed, and we'll go into that a little more detail here soon. An endowment. What is an endowment fund? That's really a safety net for universities when they just have a large sum of money that is in investments, and the income off of those can be used to help, come in the back door when a school is needing extra funds. If the budget has really had a bump in the road, and they can kind of come in and help with that. Also, when there is a growing school is needing more room, more real estate, then that endowment can help provide those funds to help that university grow. Tuition revenue, students coming in, if they are, paying students, if they're in state, out of state, those vary in numbers, obviously, but that's a big resource for schools for income. Financial aid as well for those who are needing a little extra help with loans. The federal government can help step in, as well as with grants, scholarships, those sort of things kind of fall underneath that financial aid umbrella. The last umbrella for really helping some income come in is the alumni giving, and just general support of philanthropists who are wanting to help improve education within each area. So those are kind of the typical income streams for to build the assets and the capital for universities. Now, let's talk a little bit about what's been happening in recent years. Burton Weisbrod and Evelyn Ake have in the past written a book called The Truth About the Crisis in Higher Education Finances. They have really just touched on what has happened with, why is there such a crisis? What is going on? Well, a big portion of it was the stock market of 2008, where it just plummeted, and lots of areas were affected by that. Not only was it just the economy in itself, but regular donors who were giving at a certain level then dropped what they were giving. There's the state. What was coming in was now dropped and pinched of what was available to even give as an allocation for state allocations for each school within that region. a lot of school tuitions were, in order to come up with that, had to be raised just to make up the difference. Now students are in a crisis with all this debt. With their education. So it's kind of created this domino effect that has been very hard, not just on the education, but on faculty, on our administration, on our students. So from top to bottom, everybody's been affected, even at the state and federal levels. So even the financial aid, the federal government has put a cap on how much federal aid students can use for depending on what degree they're trying to achieve. Also, with how much a school is allowed to allow their students to use. So there's all these policies and restrictions that are holding and restricting the school to actually have a decent income. And as you can see here, our pool is dwindling. Our state allocations are dripping very slowly. We hardly have any there. Our tuition revenue has really reduced. And here we are, we're almost bleeding out our reserves with our endowments. So that is kind of what we are experiencing here at Anytown University, and we're just really wanting to dig into that. What can we do to help reduce that? And we've come up with some best practices. We've really dug in to find out what our school's doing. What is the best thing that we can do to resolve some of these problems? Well, first of all, we have to really realize what's in our control and what's not in our control. So the declining economy, we can't do a darn thing about that. So we just have to really realize of what should we spend our time really working on. So here we are, we have declining economy, we have the federal financial aid, and we've heard of Sallie Mae loans, correct? Well, Sallie Mae is even in jeopardy. So if we're doing heavy reliance on financial aid and Sallie Mae is in jeopardy, then there's our confidence level in that is really reduced. But can we do anything about that? No, we cannot. State allocations, once again, Medicare, Medicaid, also the state allocations are changing the way that they're determining how they're going to determine how much allocation they're going to make into a state. So they're looking at performance outcomes, graduation rate outcomes. So there's a lot of different ways. So it's going to be variable. It could be one thing one year, another thing another year. So once again, we're looking for a steady income, a steady budget. And that's very hard to do with those elements. So we can't really look to those areas to find stability. Let's go to areas that we can find some stability. And those are our endowment, our tuition rates that we have control of. Also, we have some element of giving. We have some strategies there that we can rely upon. So just to give you a little bit of a scenario, the National Association of State Budget Officers, also known as NASBO, they do a yearly budget report to find out what is going on. Where's the state? What is the financial scenario for the federation, the state, and how schools should be able to rely on that. And what they're basically saying that it's a risky game. It's a risky game to rely on state funding right now for schools, and that we should find other areas to do that. So that's what we're doing. So now we're going to other areas of best practices. David Blanket, he has written an amazing documentation on the donation risk and optimal endowment portfolio allocations. He's basically saying we should go to an outside source that is financial consultants, and that they can help us with really maximizing our portfolio that we currently have with our endowment. Um, where to make those trading risks, where to not have high risk in our investments. There's a whole stage of strategies that we can do to optimize that portfolio to effectively allow our endowment investments to provide needed income on a regular basis. Um, we also have we've taken that leap, and we have hired on Harper and Generosity. This is a company that has a long-standing history of very positive and effective consulting for higher education institutions, very similar to us. So we're excited to take them on and to listen to their instruction, because we are seeking the best things for everybody, all of our stakeholders that are involved. Dr. Giwa stated that in the California Management Review that those who jumped on the early train of e-learning are really in a great placement for the aspects of tuition revenue. With tuition revenue, that has been a big part of where we are making money, income for our university. But with each year that we have had deficits, we've had to raise that tuition a little bit and a little bit more, and we're just not going to do it anymore. It is not fair for our students. It is not fair for our general public to end up in dire debt just to get what we're considering just a bachelor's degree is what used to be considered a general high school graduation diploma. So with our state going in opposite direction of no longer providing funding, but yet our society is requiring more and more degrees to do even the most basic positions within the free market, then it's been a real challenge to help our students really gain the things that they need. So here what we are in a great place here at the university because we did jump on that online learning. We have been able to attract a much broader sect of students, not just locality, but also in their interests. We've been able to expand our programs, and we're going to continue to do that. And here are the things that we are making those changes to attract more students, because tuition revenues are only going to help us if we have enrollment. Enrollment for most schools are either plateaued, flat, or they're slightly declining, and we are not doing that. We do not have that on our record. We are actually increasing because of our large platform and large smorgasbord of programs for our students. And here's some other things that we've been able to do and are progressing on to do even further. Dual credit for the high school and into the freshman year. That's really been a big draw to bring high school students into our programs to where they are already getting a taste for that, and also saving them money for their basic core courses. And another area is dual credit for bachelors. We're building emphasis areas for an example, psychology. A psychology bachelor's degree is a big feeder program into master's degrees. Psychology can go into a counseling area. It can go into a educational area for high school, even like special needs. It can go into like a biblical studies area. So psychology, who is wanting to go into more the church or leadership or nonprofit. So there's lots of different wings that psychology students with a bachelor's degree can go in. So what we are doing, we're building emphasis toward the last 12 credits of a bachelor's degree is basically eliminated off the typical psychology degree, and it's replaced with graduate courses in that emphasis that they are interested in. So therefore, when they're ready to graduate with their bachelor's degree, they already have their first year of their master's degree completed. So there, that is a feeder right into our master's degree program. They only have one more year to complete, possibly two, depending on which program they're going into. But it's a savings, and that's what we're trying to do. We are trying to build programs to save students, but also attract students that are going, wow, this is such a great deal. We can't get this at any other school. So that has been our big push in what that is. Now, articulation agreements as well. Cooperatives with large businesses like GE, with a lot of the types of engineering degrees that can really gain that extra experience through an internship or a co-op. So building that experience, we're trying to make these students hireable, and also making contracts with these, whether it's a school contract, articulation of making sure that their credits are transferring over to ours, community colleges, vocational schools. We're trying to welcome in all these different streams of students where we can really help them improve their lives, but yet still save them money and keep our school sustainable. We're looking for long-term sustainability. One other area that I wanted to really kind of touch about before we go on is our operational changes that we can really, we're just really trying to say, okay, where are we spending money through our operations within our facilities, within our programs? Are we top heavy? Do we need to reduce